I totally disagree with what happened to him today. I thought it was incredibly disrespectful.
And to have a champion riding the bench like he's some damn water boy. You got to be kidding me.
You know what Jayson Tatum is going to bring to the table. You do not disrespect him and embarrass him the way that you did.
Thank you.
When it comes to Jayson Tatum, he is one of the most polarizing, perplexing, and downright odd superstars we have in the current NBA. And usually when a player wins their first championship, they get the respect of the fans, the coaches, their peers, and really everyone around the NBA. But for Tatum, that really hasn't happened. As in a cruel twist of fate, Tatum's rep has actually gone down post-championship.
Water boy, check this out.
Tatum getting a DNP versus Serbia, it was like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter wrapped into one for the Tatum detractors. And when it comes to those group of fans, the more anti-Tatum crowd, their view on him is a little bit skewed. As the majority of these fans say Tatum, he's a product of his environment, barely a top 10 player, and among American players, isn't one of the best 5 in the world. Now, looking at the more pro-Tatum crowd, which I actually do fall into, we view Tatum as a top 5, 7 type player, the clear best player on Boston, one of the best all-around players in the NBA, and debatably, the best American in the league. A lot of the anti-Tatum narratives calling him a choker, underperformer, when stacked up to reality, really fall flat. As looking at him in the postseason, what was the narrative this year? You know, doesn't show up, can't win, he's not going to get it done, he'll fold, Boston has no chance. Well, of course, Tatum in the finals and East Finals, he balled out and of course won the championship. And in the process, his overall numbers much better than the narrative suggests. As in those 10 games, 26 points, 9 boards, 7 assists on solid shooting splits. And defensively, this guy was guarding 2 through 5, doing the dirty work and making the right passes for Boston to win said championship. Now, of course, playoff basketball, finals basketball, that is the pinnacle and the peak of basketball. But compared to FIBA, it is slightly different. And looking at Team USA's roster, of course, a loaded roster stacked top to bottom. And even with that being said, Tatum as a player shouldn't be getting DNPs versus Serbia.
But Jayson handled it really well. I talked to him today before the game that it may play out this way, just with Kevin coming back and the lineups that I wanted to get to. But that'll change. You know, Jayson's going to play. Every game's going to be different based on matchups. He's a total pro. He's, you know, first team All-NBA 3 years in a row. I felt like an idiot not playing him. But in a 40-minute game, you can't play more than 10. You really can't.
Disrespect is real around here.
So let's make one thing very clear. Tatum getting a DNP, it is pretty outrageous. And Steve Kerr not playing Tatum, what I think this is a classic case of a coach overthinking and overcoaching, going from borderline genius to borderline being an idiot. And looking at Tatum the player, one of the most adaptable, versatile players in the entire world. He can score, pass, rebound, he can defend. Is he an A+ in any of those categories? No, I don't think so. But across the board for Team USA, one of the rare players who can do a variety of things and isn't a specialist. And looking at the guys who played in front of him, guys like Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, even a Derek White, they all played well versus Serbia, and they played so well USA had a big lead in the fourth quarter, which typically would give Tatum minutes in the fourth, but in this game, he didn't.
Where you going?
In the game. Sit down.
And as much as I love someone like Derek White, he's a great Celtic, a great player. For Boston, he is their 5th best player and not nearly as impactful as Tatum on a game-to-game basis. And some fans might say, well, they won by 30, who cares? And I guess to a certain extent, yes, they won by 30, who cares? But for someone like Tatum, an elite American player, one of the future faces of the NBA for Americans, this DNP was downright disrespectful. And look, let's be reasonable for 1 second. I'm not saying Tatum should start with a 6-man off the bench, but to get a DNP not even 5-10 minutes. I mean, think about that. Tatum, a first-team All-NBA player, an elite player. Some say top 5, some say top 10. I mean, this guy at least should get 10 minutes off the bench, not a DNP. And Kerr's explanation of why he benched Tatum, I simply don't buy it. Again, this game in the fourth quarter, it was a blowout. Is Tatum that bad, that much a liability? You're going to blow a lead in the fourth quarter because he's playing? I highly doubt that. And for someone like Derek White, once again, he does the dirty work, plays great defense. Tatum also in that role can do the exact same thing. And think about this for 1 second. After the game versus Serbia, what was the main storyline outside LeBron and KD? It was Tatum not playing. If Kerr played Tatum 10-15 minutes, heck, even 5 minutes, this is a non-story, non-talking point that nobody cares about. But again, this guy getting a DNP, it makes it a story and causes tons of undue drama. And again, looking back at the quote-unquote Tatum hate, the disdain for Tatum, it's reached levels I could never have expected.
And is the closest one to that, though.
I think it's because he's the most vocal.
His aura.
Yeah, like he'll tell you himself.
This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And the reason why we put Ant there is because of his aura.
His aura.
His mentality.
And you want JT to have that aura.
I want if JT had that aura, it's over.
What?
The worst part of 2024 by far is the entire aura debate. Players who have aura, players who don't. That entire discussion debate, it's utter nonsense. And for someone like Anthony Edwards, yes, I get it. A great personality, he's open, he's funny. I get that. When we start ranking players off aura, that's when it gets a little bit out of hand. And for someone in Tatum who quote-unquote doesn't have aura, I don't care about that with his overall game and how good he is as a player. And looking at Tatum versus Anthony Edwards in the last 10 playoff games, Tatum, despite having no aura, performed better than Anthony Edwards in said games, adding more points, assists, boards, and steals. Despite Tatum not having any aura, played better than Anthony Edwards in the biggest rounds of the postseason. And looking back at Team USA, the guys playing over Tatum right now is of course Booker and Anthony Edwards. And heading into Team USA's next game versus South Sudan, Kerr's already said Tatum, he's gonna play. And there's 2 guys in rotation who won't play. And here's the thing, guys like Booker, Anthony Edwards, and Tatum, none of those guys should get DNPs. And for Tatum specifically, at this point, he's kind of a USA veteran. As many forget, back in 2021, he was second best player on a gold medal team behind Kevin Durant. And for the entire Olympics, 15.2 points, second on the team, 8th highest all time, and 1.2 blocks, the highest on the squad. In the gold medal game versus France, had 19 points, only second to, of course, Kevin Durant. For a guy like Tatum, a USA veteran, a proven Olympian, to get a DNP, I'm going to keep saying it, it's baffling, embarrassing for Kerr, and for Tatum, highly disrespectful. I understand sacrificing for the team, playing a role, being a defensive player, a scorer, whatever the coach needs. But for a guy at Tatum's ilk, his resume, to be getting a DNP, this guy's a champion gold medalist, first team all-league. A DNP for him, it's ridiculous. And given his overall skill set as a versatile offensive player, to not play a single minute makes 0 sense. So that right there is the end of the video. And once again, Steve Kerr's response, I don't really buy it, it's half-baked, and at best, a cop-out for Kerr having bad team management. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.